Welcome back, everyone, to Sip&Talk.
Great to be here.
So, while we're talking, we're also kind of keeping an eye out, waiting for that Nobel Peace Prize announcement. Should be later today.
Oh, right. Does anyone really think Trump's going to get it, though?
You know, I have a feeling I'm going to guess they will give it to Trump this time.
Oh, stop guessing. Seriously, we've pulled together a ton of news and financial info today. Loads on AI development, too. Come on, let's get into the market talk.
Okay. Workaholic mode activated. Let's dive in.
Right. Today, we're trying to untangle this really complex web connecting the AI investment boom, global geopolitics, especially around energy, and some big shifts in financial markets and consumer tech.
Yeah, there's just so much noise out there. So our goal today on Sip&Talk is to help you cut through it all, give you a clearer picture.
Exactly. We've got a lot to unpack. So let's start with the big one, the AI economy.
Right, because every other headline seems to scream AI bubble. But then you look at the NASDAQ, the S&P 500, they're hovering near all-time highs. How does that work? What's going on?
Well, okay, the market structure right now, it's kind of propped up by three main things, which pushes back against those bubble fears.
Okay, what are they?
First, there's just the sustained, intense enthusiasm for AI, NVIDIA's leading that charge, obviously. Second, corporate earnings have actually been pretty robust. That gives a solid foundation, fundamentally speaking.
Okay.
And third, there's just this general investor optimism. People are betting on long-term tech growth.
So is it just optimism, or is there, real measurable demand holding up these stock prices?
There is real demand, and this is where we need to make a distinction. Some analysts, like Giluria, have talked about this. The real demand, that comes from the hyperscalers.
Okay, quick clarification for everyone listening. Hyperscalers, we mean the giants, right? Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Meta, the cloud builder.
Exactly right. They genuinely need those super powerful NVIDIA chips. Why? To deliver on compute time they've already sold, pre-booked to their actual customers? That's real business.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
Grounded in actual service delivery. But Luria also mentioned, what was it, a fake demand controversy?
Yes, and that's where things get a bit bubbly. It involves these really complicated, tangled deals.
How so?
You see NVIDIA and OpenAI making deals, sometimes involving partners like Oracle or CoreWeave. It gets complex. These transactions can be, let's say, financially engineered.
Engineered how? To look bigger?
Yeah, essentially to make the businesses appear much larger on paper than their actual cash flow might suggest. It creates this sort of interconnected web of leverage, and that introduces potential systemic risk.
Right. And speaking of risk, OpenAI, they're the poster child for AI, but the cost of running ChatGPT and their other models, it's got to be huge.
Oh, it's astronomical. I mean, OpenAI is burning through cash right now, massively. To back up the huge transaction commitments they've made, we're talking potentially trillions of dollars in future compute deals. They need to raise hundreds of billions.
Hundreds of billion in debt.
In capital market debt financing, yeah. Now, it just shows the enormous financial pressure they're under. It's basically a massive bet fueled by leverage on dominating the future market, not on current profits.
Wow. Okay, so if you're making a bet that big, you need a killer strategy. What's OpenAI's end game beyond just having the smartest chatbot? Right. They can't just keep burning cash.
No, their ambition is way bigger. They want to be the gatekeeper, the information portal. They're pushing this really aggressive platform strategy to make ChatGPT the main way humans interact with AI.
And we saw that with the launch of the app in GPT and the SDK, right? That seemed like a big step.
Absolutely. That feature lets you, right inside the chat, call up other services, book a flight on booking.com or use Canva, whatever.
How does that work technically?
Well, your request goes through their language model, and then it uses something called NCP, a communication protocol, to talk to that third-party service.
So NCP is like the universal translator between ChatGPT and other apps, all managed within the chat.
Precisely. And here's the key insight, the real play. The underlying LLM tech. It's getting commoditized fast. It's becoming a general asset.
So the model itself isn't the long-term value?
Not entirely. OpenAI's real crown jewel is its user base. They supposedly have 800 million weekly active users. These are sticky users. The strategy is to own that entry point, that portal, forcing everyone else to go through them.
Okay. So it's less about the AI brain and more about owning the doorway. That frames this whole thing as an AI-era entry war. You've got Google, Apple, Meta, all scrambling.
Definitely. It's shaping up to be like a warring states period. Lots of players fighting for dominance, not likely one single winner takes all. It's a battle for the interface.
Got it. Okay, let's shift gears to another tech giant, one always making headlines. Tesla. We finally heard about that long-promised affordable model, but there was a twist, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah, big twist. It's not the brand new ground-up design people expected, the Model Q or Model 2. That was supposed to be their big offensive play to hit 20 million cars a year.
So what is it then?
It's actually a stripped-down kind of budget version of the existing Model 3 or Model Y. They're calling it the standard version.
Yeah.
And the price point, a bit higher than hoped, around maybe $37,000 to $40,000.
And to get the cost down, they made some interesting choices, like removing the rear screen.
Yeah.
The glass roof.
Yep, those went. But the really big one, the controversial cut, was removing auto steer or lane keep assist.
Wait, seriously? The car can follow speed, but you have to physically steer it to stay in the lane.
That's the key point, yeah. It takes away a core function that people associate with Tesla, a major convenience and, frankly, safety feature.
But doesn't that kind of undermine the whole Tesla brand? I mean, people pay a premium partly for that tech. Removing auto steer feels counterintuitive.
It is a massive concession, absolutely. But it really highlights a major strategic pivot for them. See, because of the breakthroughs they feel they've made with full self-driving, especially V12.
Their focus has shifted.
Completely. The company's future is now laser-focused on robotaxi. So this stripped-down car, it isn't about offense anymore. It's purely defensive.
It's designed to stop sales from completely falling off a cliff when that big $7,500 U.S. EV tax credit subsidy ends. They need to protect their cash flow while they pursue the real prize, which they see as autonomy.
So prop up the present while betting everything on the future robotaxi network. Okay, that brings us neatly to the next point. Power. All this AI training, FSD development, data centers, it needs insane amounts of electricity.
Staggering amounts. And that leads right into infrastructure and geopolitics. It's a huge bottleneck. And the industry's reaction. Some are basically becoming their own power companies.
Like who?
Look at Fermi America down in Texas. They're building this gigantic private power grid called the hypergrid just for AI data centers. They're targeting 11 gigawatts of capacity.
11 gigawatts? How much is that in perspective?
It's nearly double the entire power consumption of New York City.
Wow. Double NYC.
Yeah.
Just for AI data centers in Texas. That really shows the scale of this power challenge. And Fermi's CEO, Toby, he's framed this pretty starkly, hasn't he, as a national security thing. He argues that to really compete, especially with China on military and tech fronts, a true superpower needs nuclear-driven AI. It's not just business. He sees it as an arms race.
And China's already moving on that.
Oh, yeah. China is reportedly building 22 new nuclear reactors specifically for AI infrastructure. They're projected to surpass U.S. nuclear output by 2030. Meanwhile, the U.S., we haven't completed a large new reactor since 2016. We've lagged.
So Fermi's trying to fill that gap with Project Matador. 4 large reactors, and one named after Donald Trump.
That's the plan. The Donald J. Trump generating plant is one of them. I mean, that name alone tells you how politically charged this whole infrastructure race has become.
Absolutely. It signals this deep belief, at least among these infrastructure builders, that this is a must-win race for the U.S., requiring maybe unconventional, faster approaches.
Exactly. They're aiming to get the first reactor running by 2032. The big takeaway here for policymakers isn't just AI ethics or regulation, it's the raw infrastructure deficit. Can we even power this revolution?
Right. No power, no AI dominance. Simple as that. Okay, let's pivot back to the financial side for a bit. Oracle. They got some bad press recently about their cloud business. Low margins, losses. What's the real deal there?
Yeah, there were 2 main knocks against them. First, reports that their GPU cloud margins were really low, like 16%, way below the typical 50% plus you see with AWS or Microsoft.
Right.
Second, a reported $100 million loss on a new AI cluster they'd just built.
So that low margin, is that a sign they just can't compete on cost? Or is it strategy? Sacrificing 50% margins seems drastic.
It's definitely strategy. It's an offensive move. Oracle is playing catch-up in the cloud infrastructure space against giants. The only way to realistically grab market share quickly is aggressive price slashing.
Cut prices deep. Get customers in the door, worry about profits later.
Pretty much. Sacrifice short-term profit for long-term customer acquisition. It's a standard playbook when you're the challenger. Makes strategic sense at this point.
Okay, fair enough. And the $100 million loss on the new cluster?
That's mostly just timing. It's a classic accounting time difference. When they bring those expensive new GPU servers online, the costs, especially depreciation, hit the books immediately.
But the revenue from selling capacity on those servers comes later.
Exactly. The revenue from customer contracts only starts rolling in over the following months or quarters, so costs show up before revenue. That loss should smooth out over time as the cluster gets utilized.
Gotcha. That clears that up. Now, thinking bigger picture financially, U.S. government debt is just huge, astronomical.
It's a massive concern, yeah. You're actually hearing some serious financial institutions starting to whisper that debt from, say, a top-tier private company like Microsoft might eventually be seen as safer than U.S. treasuries.
Wow. Safer than government bonds. That's a pretty staggering thought. Reflects real worry about government spending, I guess.
It does. And in this environment of, let's say, financial complexity and risk, where does something like blockchain fit in?
Good question. Is there a connection?
Well, one area people are looking at is asset protection, fighting financial fraud. Things like asset rehypothecation.
Where the same asset gets pledged as collateral multiple times.
Exactly. It relies on murky records.
Yeah.
The idea gaining traction is, what if you recorded key asset information, like a car's VIN number, mortgage details onto a blockchain?
To create an undeniable record.
Right. An immutable ledger providing irrefutable facts about who owns what, when. It could theoretically eliminate a whole class of complex accounting fraud that depends on hiding or double counting assets.
Interesting. Using tech to enforce transparency. Okay, let's shift from financial risks to maybe the more human side of AI. These AI companions like Replica, Character.ai, they're exploding in popularity, providing 24/7 support.
They really are. And you can see the appeal, especially maybe for younger generations like Gen Z, who report feeling more isolated or anxious. And AI offers this non-judgmental ear, always available.
Sounds good on the surface.
Yeah.
But where's the potential downside? Where does it get dangerous?
Well, there are a couple of big risks. First is functional dependency. People might start relying on the AI friends so much that they withdraw from real, messy, complex human relationships. The AI is just easier.
Okay, social withdrawal. What else?
The second is the emotional impact, when the AI inevitably changes. After a software update, its personality might shift, or maybe the service shuts down. Users can experience a real sense of loss, sometimes called ambiguous loss, because the relationship was real to them, but the friend wasn't.
And fundamentally, the AI can't truly feel empathy.
Right, exactly. It mimics it. And that lack of true empathy can be particularly risky for users who are already vulnerable. Someone dealing with clinical depression, for instance. Relying on simulated support might delay seeking real help.
So this whole trend really underscores the need for, digital well-being or digital literacy education for parents, for kids, for everyone.
Absolutely. We need clear guidelines. The recommendations are often things like 0 screen time for kids under 2, maybe limit it to an hour a day for ages 2 to 5. But beyond just time limits, it's about prioritizing quality over quantity in our digital interactions.
Quality over quantity. That's a good principle.
Okay,
before we wrap things up, we should touch on the latest geopolitical news concerning the Israel-Hamas conflict. There's been a development.
Yes, significant news. Hamas announced they've reached a ceasefire agreement with Israel. The report suggests it aims to end the conflict, secure the release of all remaining hostages, and involve Israeli withdrawal from Gaza back to agreed-upon lines.
And this agreement, reports are linking it, at least partially, to sustained diplomatic pressure, including from the U.S. side, potentially involving figures like President Trump pushing Netanyahu. Some reports call it phase 1 of a Trump plan.
That's what some reports are indicating, yes, connecting it to broader diplomatic efforts and specific pressures being applied.
Now, alongside this news, there's also been some commentary online about performative activism. What's that about?
It's an observation some commentators have made. They've pointed out that many social media users who were very visibly displaying, say, the Palestinian flag or frequently posting about the conflict have been notably silent since the ceasefire announcement, or at least haven't seemed to celebrate this major step towards peace.
Implying that for some, maybe the online activism was more about the performance, the signaling, than about actually achieving the outcome.
That's the suggestion being made, unfortunately. But putting that aside, we really need to end with a crucial point about U.S. policy here. Impartially speaking, just looking at the analysis.
The what?
This sustained conflict has been incredibly damaging, toxic, really, for the U.S., both economically and in terms of its global standing. The warning is clear. If this ceasefire agreement is violated, particularly by Israel, the political pressure within the U.S. to completely cut off funding, maybe even sever ties, it's going to get much, much louder.
Reflecting a shift in U.S. public opinion.
Definitely reflecting declining public support for continued involvement and funding of the conflict. It's a really critical dynamic for U.S. foreign policy going forward. We just have to report those analyses factually.
Understood. A very critical perspective to keep in mind.
Right.
Wow, we've covered a lot today. From leveraged AI deals and Tesla's defensive moves to a literal nuclear-powered arms race brewing in Texas.
It's a lot to process, so maybe I'll leave you, the listener, with this final thought to chew on. Considering the sheer speed of this nuclear AI arms race, China, building 22 reactors just for AI, what does being a superpower even look like in 10 years? And what national resources beyond just GDP will actually define that status?
Oof. That is a heavy question for the road. Thanks for breaking all this down for us, presenting the objective facts, and really making us think. Hopefully, we've given all of you listening plenty to consider as well.
My pleasure. Always good talking through this stuff.
If you enjoyed our conversation today, please do subscribe to our program, Sip and Talk. We really appreciate the support.
And hey, also, a quick shout out to our good friend Mickey's YouTube channel, Mickytolife, if you want something fun, memes, music, wine tasting, travel vlogs, check it out. Mickytolife.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Sip and Talk.